My daughter sent me a text that read, "Dad, Derek thinks it's best if you don't come to Thanksgiving this year. The kids are at an age where they notice things, and we don't want them asking questions about your shaking. My name is Walter Bennett. I'm 67 years old with early-stage Parkinson's disease." That text came from Lisa, the daughter I bought a $680,000 townhouse for in Burnaby. The daughter who promised she'd take care of me when her mother passed away 2 years ago. What Lisa didn't know was that I had just found something in her husband Derek's home office, a folder hidden behind his golf trophies, legal documents with my name on them, papers requesting the court declare me mentally incompetent and give Derek full control over my finances, my medical decisions, my entire life. Lisa thinks having Parkinson's makes you confused and helpless. She's wrong. It just makes people underestimate you. When your own daughter tries to steal everything from her father, especially when that father spent 38 years as a fraud investigator for the Royal Bank of Canada, she's about to learn that trembling hands don't mean a trembling mind. Hit subscribe to see how this ends, because what I did next shocked everyone in our family. 3 years ago, my wife Margaret was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She passed away 14 months later, leaving me alone in our 4-bedroom house in North Vancouver. The house where we raised Lisa. The house where we celebrated 39 Christmases together. The house that suddenly felt like a museum of memories I couldn't escape. Lisa had a suggestion. "Dad, you should sell the house and help us buy something bigger. We're cramped in our condo with the kids growing up. You could move into something smaller, maybe a nice apartment downtown. And when the time comes, well, you'd already be set up for easier living." I understood what she meant by "when the time comes." My Parkinson's diagnosis came 6 months after Margaret's funeral. Dr. Patricia Nguyen at Vancouver General explained it clearly. "Walter, your motor functions will decline gradually. Tremors, stiffness, balance issues. But Parkinson's doesn't typically affect cognition until much later stages. Your mind will stay sharp for years, possibly decades." I sold our family home for $1.4 million. After paying off the remaining mortgage and covering Margaret's medical bills, I had $890,000. Lisa wanted a townhouse in Burnaby, close to Derek's office at Pacific Coast Insurance, where he worked as a claims adjuster, making $72,000 annually. The townhouse cost $680,000. I paid cash, every dollar. "You're the best father in the world," Lisa said when I handed her the deed. She hugged me with tears in her eyes. Derek shook my hand firmly and promised, "We'll take care of you, Walter, your family." I moved into a modest 1-bedroom apartment in New Westminster. $1,450 monthly rent. My 2018 Honda CR-V in the underground parking. My medication schedule posted on the refrigerator. My remaining $210,000 in savings at RBC, plus my pension of $3,200 monthly from the bank. For the first year, things seemed fine. Lisa called twice a week. The grandchildren, Emma, who was 12, and Jacob, who was 9, visited every other Sunday. Derek would bring over Tim Hortons coffee, and we'd watch the Canucks games together. But 18 months ago, things started changing. Lisa's calls dropped to once a week, then once every 2 weeks. Sunday visits became monthly, then quarterly. Last Christmas, I wasn't invited to their holiday dinner. Lisa texted me, "We're keeping it small this year. Just immediate family." I am her immediate family. I'm her father. The small humiliations accumulated like snow in a Vancouver winter. Derek speaking to me in that slow, exaggerated voice people use with children. "Walter, did you remember to take your pills today? Walter, do you know what day it is?" Lisa apologizing to restaurant servers when my hands trembled while holding a menu. "Sorry, he has a condition." 2 months ago, I visited their townhouse unannounced. Lisa answered the door looking annoyed. "Dad, you should call first. We might have had plans." While Lisa made tea, I used their bathroom. On my way back, I passed Derek's home office. The door was open. On his desk, I saw a folder labeled W.B. Legal Matters. My initials. I told Lisa I'd forgotten my reading glasses in the bathroom and went back. But instead of the bathroom, I slipped into Derek's office. My hands trembled as I opened the folder. but my mind was perfectly clear. The first document was a Certificate of Incapacity application, Form 1A, under British Columbia's Adult Guardianship Act. 27 pages requesting the court appoint Derek as my committee, with full control over my financial and personal affairs. Filing date, 3 weeks from now. The second document was a brochure for Maple Ridge Senior Care, Affordable Memory Care Solutions. Monthly cost, $2,800. The cheapest facility in the Lower Mainland. The third document made my blood run cold. A letter from Pacific Coast Insurance's legal department to Derek, discussing asset protection strategies for aging family members. My son-in-law was using his insurance company's lawyers to steal from me. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with the copies I'd made on their home printer while Lisa thought I was in the bathroom, reading every word with the analytical precision that made me the top fraud investigator at RBC for 2 decades. The incapacity application claimed I suffered from progressive dementia, causing me to make dangerous financial decisions and exhibit erratic, confused behavior. It listed specific incidents. October 14th. Subject became disoriented at Metrotown Mall and couldn't locate his vehicle for 45 minutes. That day, I was visiting Margaret's grave in Burnaby. I wasn't at Metrotown. November 3rd. Subject gave away substantial sums of money without understanding the consequences, including $680,000 for a property he believes he still owns. The townhouse was a gift. I understood exactly what I was doing. November 22nd. Subject exhibited aggressive, paranoid behavior when family members suggested he needed help with daily activities. I asked Lisa not to cut my steak for me at her dinner party. That was my aggressive behavior. Derek had fabricated everything. Every incident, every claim, every piece of evidence. But here's what Derek didn't understand about my career. For 38 years, I investigated fraud at one of Canada's largest banks. I interviewed thousands of people who thought they were smarter than the system. I testified in court dozens of times. I helped send people to prison for financial crimes. I know exactly how to build a case. And I know exactly how to destroy one. The next morning, I called Raymond Chen. Ray was my closest friend at RBC before he retired and moved to Victoria. He spent 25 years in the RCMP's Financial Crimes Unit before joining the bank's security team. Walter, this is textbook elder abuse, Ray said after I explained everything. I've seen this pattern 100 times. Family member gets power of attorney or committee status, drains the accounts, warehouses the senior in the cheapest facility they can find. It's disgusting. What do? Document everything. Get a comprehensive medical evaluation proving your mental capacity. And hire Helen Okonkwo. Helen Okonkwo was a lawyer in Vancouver who specialized in elder law and guardianship disputes. Ray had worked with her on several cases during his RCMP days. He said she had a 94% success rate defending seniors against fraudulent incapacity claims. I called her that afternoon. Her office was on West Hastings Street, 10th floor, with a view of the harbor. She listened to my entire story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. Mr. Bennett, your son-in-law has made a critical error, Helen said when I finished. He's filed documents containing false statements. In British Columbia, that's fraud. It's also elder abuse under the Adult Guardianship Act. If we can prove he fabricated these incidents, he's facing criminal charges. What about Lisa? She's my daughter. Helen's expression softened. That's for you to decide. But legally, if she's complicit in this scheme, she's equally liable. The timeline was tight. Derek's filing date was November 28th. Today was November 8th. I had 20 days to build my defense. Helen outlined our strategy. First, we need Dr. Nguyen to conduct a comprehensive cognitive assessment. Parkinson's doesn't affect mental capacity in early stages, but we need that documented officially. Second, we need to disprove every incident, Derek claims. Alibis, witnesses, evidence. Third, we file our own complaint with the Public Guardian and Trustee's Office. I spent the next week gathering evidence. My credit card statements showing I was buying flowers at a Burnaby florist on October 14th, not wandering lost at Metrotown. My phone's GPS data confirming my location. A receipt from the cemetery showing I paid for grave maintenance that same day. For the November 3rd claim about the townhouse, I had the original gift letter I'd written to Lisa, clearly stating my intention to provide a gift, not a loan. I also had emails from my own lawyer at the time confirming I understood the transaction fully. For November 22nd, I had nothing except my word. But Helen said that would be enough if my other evidence was strong. Dr. Nguyen's assessment took 4 hours. Memory tests, cognitive evaluations, decision-making scenarios, physical examinations. At the end, she sat me down in her office with a printed report. Walter, your cognitive function is completely normal for your age. Your Parkinson's affects your motor control, not your thinking. You scored in the 92nd percentile for decision-making capacity. I'll testify to this in court if needed. I left Vancouver General feeling like I'd won the first battle. But the war was just beginning. 2 days before Derek's filing date, Lisa called with an invitation that made me suspicious. Dad, Derek and I have been talking. We feel terrible about how things have been. We want to have a family dinner this Saturday. The kids miss you. Please come. After months of being excluded, suddenly I was welcome again. I'd like that, I said carefully. What time? Come around 5. Derek's making his famous prime rib. Saturday evening, I put on the cardigan Lisa had given me 3 Christmases ago and drove to Burnaby. Derek answered the door with an exaggerated smile. Walter, so glad you could make it. Come in. Come in. The townhouse I'd paid for looked different. New furniture, a massive television mounted on the wall, renovated kitchen with granite countertops. They'd been spending money. Whose money? Emma and Jacob hugged me briefly before returning to their tablets. Lisa emerged from the kitchen wearing an apron, looking nervous. Dad, sit down. Dinner's almost ready. Can Derek get you a drink? Just water. Thank you. Are you sure? We have that scotch you like. The Glenfiddich. Red flag. Lisa knew I'd stopped drinking alcohol because it interfered with my Parkinson's medication. She'd scolded me about it at her dinner party last year. Water is fine. Dinner was awkward. Derek kept asking me questions designed to test my memory. Walter, do you remember where Lisa went to university? Walter, what year did you retire from RBC? Walter, can you tell me the current Prime Minister's name? I answered everything correctly, watching Derek's face tighten each time. After dinner, Lisa suggested we look at old photo albums. The kids love seeing pictures of when I was little. Emma and Jacob showed zero interest in photo albums. They were 12 and 9, not 5. But Lisa insisted, and we sat on the new leather sectional while she flipped through pages. Dad, do you remember this vacation? A photo of Margaret and me at Niagara Falls. 1996. Of course. Our 20th anniversary trip. We stayed at the Sheraton. Your mother bought that ridiculous souvenir mousse. Lisa frowned slightly. She'd expected me to be confused. Then Derek's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and stood up quickly. I need to take this. Work. Emergency. He disappeared into his office. Lisa followed a moment later, leaving me alone with the grandchildren who weren't paying attention to anything except their screens. I heard whispers from the hallway. Then Derek's voice, slightly raised. He's not cooperating. He remembers everything. Lisa's response was too quiet to hear, but Derek's next words were clear. We need the video evidence. Keep trying. Video evidence. They were recording me, trying to capture footage of confusion or incompetence for their court filing. I stood up slowly, my hands trembling but my mind racing. Emma, Jacob, I'm going to use the bathroom. They didn't even look up. I walked down the hallway, past the bathroom, to Derek's office. The door was cracked open. Inside, I could see his computer screen showing a document titled Incapacity Evidence Log. I pushed the door open. Derek spun around from his desk. Walter, you can't be in here. What's an incapacity evidence log? Derek. His face went pale. It's nothing. Work stuff. I stepped closer, letting my trembling hands be visible. I spent 38 years investigating fraud. I know what evidence logs look like. I know what you're doing. Lisa appeared in the doorway. Dad, what's going on? I turned to face my daughter. You're trying to have me declared incompetent. You're trying to steal my savings. You're planning to put me in a care facility and take control of my finances. Lisa's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. I found the documents 2 weeks ago, I continued. The incapacity application, the Maple Ridge brochure, the letters from Pacific Coast's lawyers. Derek stepped forward aggressively. Those documents are private. You had no right. I have every right. They're about me. They contain lies about me. They're part of a conspiracy to commit fraud against me. Dad, you're being paranoid. Lisa finally found her voice. This is exactly what we're worried about. You're seeing conspiracies that don't exist. Am I? Let me read from Derek's application. I pulled a folded photocopy from my cardigan pocket. Subject became disoriented at Metrotown Mall on October 14th. I was at your mother's grave that day. I have receipts. I have GPS data. Derek fabricated that incident. Lisa looked at Derek. He said nothing. Subject gave away substantial sums without understanding consequences. I gave you a gift. A $680,000 gift. I understood exactly what I was doing. I have the gift letter I wrote. I have emails from my lawyer. Dad, you're confused about what those documents mean. I scored in the 92nd percentile on cognitive assessment last week. Dr. Wen will testify that my mental capacity is completely normal. Parkinson's affects my hands, Lisa, not my brain. The room went silent, except for the hum of Derek's computer. How much credit card debt are you carrying? I asked quietly. Derek's jaw tightened. That's none of your business. When you're trying to steal my money, it becomes my business. I did some checking. Pacific Coast Insurance had layoffs 8 months ago. Your department was hit hard. You took a 15% pay cut, didn't you? Lisa stared at her husband. You told me the pay cut was temporary. And your fitness coaching business, I continued, looking at Lisa. How many clients do you have currently? Because your Instagram says you're fully booked, but your business account shows deposits of $340 last month. How do you know about our accounts? I don't. I estimated based on your posts and your lifestyle changes. That new furniture, the renovated kitchen, the television. You've been spending money you don't have, haven't you? Derek exploded. This is exactly why you need supervision. You're obsessed with our finances. You're paranoid and aggressive. Lisa, get your phone, record this. Lisa hesitated. Record your father so you can show a judge that he's unfit to manage his own life. Is that really what you want? My daughter's eyes filled with tears. Dad, we're drowning. Derek's commission is half what it used to be. We're 3 months behind on the mortgage. The mortgage you don't help with anymore. I paid for the house in full. There shouldn't be a mortgage. Silence. Derek looked away. Lisa covered her face with her hands. You took out a home equity line of credit, I said, the pieces clicking together. Against the house I bought you. How much? $180,000, Lisa whispered. And you've spent it all? She nodded, still not meeting my eyes. So, your plan was to have me declared incompetent, gain control of my $210,000 in savings and my $3,200 monthly pension, warehouse me in a $2,800 per month facility, and pocket the difference to pay off your debts. It wasn't like that. Derek's voice had lost its aggression. We were going to take care of you. The facility is nice. You'd have been comfortable. While you spent my money. You're old, Walter. You're sick. You don't need all that money. You don't have that much time left anyway. The cruelty of that statement hung in the air. I looked at my daughter, waiting for her to object, to defend me, to say something. She said nothing. I changed my will last week, I said finally. Lisa gets nothing. Everything goes to the Parkinson's Canada charity. Lisa's head snapped up. What? $210,000 in savings. My pension survivor benefits, my life insurance, all of it goes to research and patient support. Not to people who see me as an inconvenient obstacle between them and money they didn't earn. Derek lunged toward me. You can't do that. That money should stay in the family. Don't touch me. My voice was calm but firm. I'm leaving now. And Monday morning, my lawyer is filing a complaint with the public guardian and trustee. She's also referring your case to the RCMP's Financial Crimes Unit. You can't prove anything. Derek's desperation was showing. I can prove you filed documents containing false statements. That's fraud. I can prove you conspired to gain control of a vulnerable adult's finances through deception. That's elder abuse. In British Columbia, both are criminal offenses. I walked toward the door. Lisa grabbed my arm. Dad, please, don't do this. We're your family. I looked at my daughter, the baby I held in the hospital 63 years ago. The little girl who used to run to me when she was scared. The woman who promised to take care of me after her mother died. You stopped being my family when you decided my illness was more valuable to you than my dignity. I drove home in the dark, hands shaking on the steering wheel. Not from Parkinson's, from grief. The next 2 weeks were a legal hurricane. Helen Okonkwo filed our complaint Monday morning. By Wednesday, the public guardian's office had opened an investigation. By Friday, Derek received notice that his incapacity application was being reviewed for potential fraud. The RCMP's Financial Crimes Unit assigned the case to Sergeant Michelle Tremblay, who happened to be a former colleague of Ray Chen's. She called me personally. Mr. Bennett, I've reviewed your documentation. Your son-in-law made several significant errors. He claimed to have witnessed incidents that GPS data proves he couldn't have witnessed. He filed notarized statements containing provably false information. That's criminal fraud. What happens now? We'll interview him and your daughter. If the evidence supports criminal charges, we'll proceed. But Mr. Bennett, I need to ask, are you prepared to testify against your own daughter? I thought about Lisa's silence in Derek's office. Her failure to defend me, her willingness to watch her husband ship me off to a discount care facility while they spent my money. Yes, I'm prepared. The investigation uncovered more than I expected. Derek had been planning this for over a year. His company email records showed conversations with Pacific Coast's legal department about optimizing senior family member transitions. He'd researched incapacity laws, care facility costs, and trust fund management fees. He'd also been consulting with a financial advisor about managing my assets once he gained control. The proposed plan: pay himself a monthly management fee of $1,500, deposit my pension directly into an account he controlled, and draw down my savings for care expenses that would conveniently match their mortgage payments. At the rate they'd planned, my $210,000 would have been gone in 3 years. After that, they'd apply for government subsidies and move me to an even cheaper facility. But the most damaging evidence came from Lisa's own phone. Sergeant Tremblay subpoenaed their text messages. The conversations between Lisa and Derek painted a clear picture of conspiracy. Derek, your dad seemed pretty sharp tonight. We need to get him more confused. Lisa, what if we switch his medications, mix up the bottles? Derek, too risky. Let's just keep him stressed. Stress makes the shaking worse. Maybe people will think it's his brain too. Lisa, the lawyer says we need video evidence of incompetence before the hearing. Derek, working on it. Invited him to dinner Saturday. We'll get him confused one way or another. They had planned to tamper with my medication. They had deliberately tried to stress me into appearing incompetent. They had orchestrated situations designed to generate evidence against me. When Helen showed me the messages, I had to set down the papers because my hands were shaking too badly to hold them. Walter, this is conspiracy to commit elder abuse. Your daughter is facing serious criminal charges. She was going to switch my medications. She discussed it. We don't have evidence she actually did it, but the intent is clear. I thought about every meal Lisa had prepared for me in the past year, every cup of tea, every time she'd offered to help with my pills. Had she already tried something? Were my worst days manufactured? The court date for Derek's original incapacity application arrived. He'd tried to withdraw it when the investigation began, but the court required him to appear anyway. Provincial Court of British Columbia. Courtroom 302. Judge Margaret Sullivan presiding. I arrived with Helen Okonkwo, Ray Chen, and Dr. Nguyen. Lisa and Derek arrived with a nervous-looking lawyer from Pacific Coast's legal department, and nobody else. No character witnesses, no family support. Judge Sullivan reviewed the case file while we sat in wooden chairs that reminded me of church pews. Mr. Derek Morrison, the judge began, you filed an application declaring Walter Bennett mentally incompetent and requesting appointment as his committee. Is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. But I'd like to withdraw. I understand you wish to withdraw. However, serious allegations have been raised about the truthfulness of your application. This court is required to address those allegations before any withdrawal. Derek's lawyer stood. Your Honor, my client made this application in good faith, concerned about his father-in-law's welfare. In good faith? Judge Sullivan held up a document. The application claims Mr. Bennett was disoriented and lost at Metrotown Shopping Center on October 14th. Mr. Bennett's counsel has provided GPS data, credit card records, and a cemetery receipt proving he was in Burnaby at the time, visiting his late wife's grave. Can you explain this discrepancy? Derek's lawyer whispered urgently with him. We may have been mistaken about the specific date. The application also claims Mr. Bennett exhibited aggressive, paranoid behavior on November 22nd at a family dinner. I have a sworn statement from Mr. Bennett's physician indicating she spoke with him by phone that same evening and found him calm, coherent, and appropriately concerned about family dynamics. Was Dr. Nguyen mistaken? Dr. Nguyen shifted beside me. She'd provided that statement after I told her about the dinner party incident. Your Honor, families often have different perceptions of the same events. Mr. Morrison, Judge Sullivan's voice sharpened. I have before me a comprehensive cognitive assessment conducted by Dr. Patricia Nguyen, a neurologist at Vancouver General Hospital, indicating that Mr. Bennett's mental capacity is fully intact. His Parkinson's disease affects motor function, not cognition. Did you consult any medical professional before claiming Mr. Bennett suffered from progressive dementia? Silence. Your Honor, Helen Okonkwo stood. We would like to present additional evidence. Proceed. Helen approached the bench with a folder. Your Honor, this folder contains text messages between Derek Morrison and Lisa Morrison discussing strategies to make Mr. Bennett appear confused. They include discussion of tampering with his medication and deliberately creating stressful situations to trigger symptoms. Judge Sullivan reviewed the documents. Her expression darkened. Mr. Morrison, these messages suggest you didn't simply make honest mistakes in your application. They suggest a deliberate scheme to manufacture evidence of incapacity. Derek's face was gray. Lisa was staring at the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks. Furthermore, Helen continued, we've discovered that Mr. Morrison took out a $180,000 home equity line of credit against a property his father-in-law purchased in full as a gift. Mr. Morrison and Mrs. Morrison have spent that money and are facing financial insolvency. We believe the incapacity application was motivated by a desire to access Mr. Bennett's remaining savings to cover their debts. Judge Sullivan turned to Lisa. Mrs. Morrison, you are Mr. Bennett's daughter. Did you participate in this scheme? Lisa couldn't speak. She just kept crying silently. Your Honor, I said, standing slowly. May I address the court? You may, Mr. Bennett. I stood with my trembling hands visible, my voice steady. Your Honor, my daughter was the person I trusted most in this world after my wife died. I gave her and her husband $680,000 to buy a home. I believed they would care for me as I aged. Instead, they conspired to steal my remaining savings, warehouse me in the cheapest facility they could find, and manage my finances for their own benefit. I paused, collecting myself. I have Parkinson's disease. My hands shake. My movements are sometimes unsteady, but my mind is clear. I know exactly what's happening, and I know exactly what justice requires. I ask the court to not only dismiss this fraudulent application, but to refer this matter for criminal prosecution. Judge Sullivan was quiet for a long moment. Mr. Derek Morrison, this court finds that your incapacity application contains materially false statements and was filed as part of a scheme to defraud a vulnerable adult. The application is dismissed with prejudice. Furthermore, I am referring this matter to the RCMP for criminal investigation and to the Law Society for review of Pacific Coast Insurance's legal department's involvement. The gavel came down. Additionally, I am issuing a restraining order. Mr. Morrison, you are prohibited from contacting Mr. Bennett regarding financial or medical matters. Any attempt to influence his affairs will result in immediate arrest. Derek slumped in his chair. Lisa covered her face with both hands. As we filed out of the courtroom, Lisa grabbed my arm. Dad, please. I made a mistake. I was scared. Derek was pressuring me. Please don't send us to prison. I looked at my daughter, my only child, the woman who had discussed switching my medication to make me confused. Lisa, did you ever actually tamper with my pills? She hesitated. I thought about it. Derek wanted me to, but I couldn't do it. You thought about poisoning your own father? Not poisoning, just confusing the doses, making your bad days worse. So I would seem more incompetent. So you could steal from me more easily. Dad, I didn't actually do it. But you would have, if Derek had pushed harder. If you'd been more desperate. She didn't deny it. Goodbye, Lisa. Dad, wait. I walked out of the courthouse into the November rain. Helen Okonkwo walked beside me, holding an umbrella over both of us. Walter, the criminal case will proceed regardless of your involvement, but your testimony will strengthen it significantly. I'll testify. Against your daughter? I thought about the text messages, the dinner party designed to confuse me, the video they'd tried to capture, the discussions about tampering with my medication. I'll testify. The criminal charges came down 2 weeks later. Derek was charged with fraud, filing false documents, and elder abuse. Lisa was charged with conspiracy to commit elder abuse. Derek's employer fired him immediately. Financial crimes charges are career-ending in the insurance industry. Lisa's fitness coaching business collapsed when the charges became public. Nobody wants a trainer who conspired to defraud her own father. Their house, the townhouse I'd paid for, went into foreclosure. The home equity loan came due when Derek's application was dismissed, and they had no way to pay it back. Pacific Coast Insurance's legal department was under investigation, and several lawyers faced professional discipline. Derek tried to negotiate a plea deal. He offered to testify against the Pacific Coast lawyers in exchange for reduced charges. The Crown prosecutor agreed to drop some charges if he pleaded guilty to elder abuse. Lisa's lawyer argued she was under Derek's influence, a victim herself, in a way. The Crown offered her a deal. Testify against Derek, plead guilty to a lesser charge, receive probation instead of jail time. She took it. At Derek's sentencing hearing, Lisa sat in the witness box and described how her husband had planned the scheme for over a year, how he'd researched incapacity laws and care facility costs, how he'd identified my savings as the solution to their financial problems, how he'd manipulated her into participating. I watched my daughter testify against her husband. She cried throughout. She never once looked at me. Derek received 18 months in prison and a lifetime ban from working in financial services. Lisa received 2 years probation, community service, and mandatory financial counseling. After the sentencing, Lisa approached me outside the courthouse. Dad, I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I am sorry. What are you sorry for, Lisa? She paused. For what happened? That's not an apology. What specifically are you sorry for? Silence. Are you sorry for planning to steal my money? For trying to have me declared incompetent? For discussing poisoning my medication? For conspiring with your husband to destroy my autonomy? She couldn't meet my eyes. All of it. I'm sorry for all of it. Why did you do it? We were desperate. The debt was crushing us. And you had all this money just sitting there. You're old, Dad. You're sick. We thought. We thought you wouldn't need it much longer anyway. The same thing Derek had said, that I didn't have much time left. Lisa, I could live another 20 years. Parkinson's doesn't kill you quickly. It just makes other people write you off as already gone. I know that now. Do you? Because when you looked at me, you didn't see your father. You saw an obstacle, a problem with a convenient expiration date, a bank account you were waiting to inherit. She started crying again. Dad, please, I'm your daughter. You're the person who would have tampered with my medication if you'd been a little more desperate. You're the person who sat silent while your husband called me worthless. You're the person who chose money over your own father. That's who you are now. I can change. I'm getting help. The counseling is helping. I hope that's true. I hope you become a better person. But I don't need to be there to watch it happen. So, that's it? You're just cutting me off? You cut me off, Lisa. When you decided to exploit my illness instead of support me. When you planned to steal my dignity along with my money. When you chose Derek's scheme over your father's trust. I turned and walked away. This time, she didn't follow. 6 months have passed since the court case ended. I moved to a retirement community in Victoria, close to Ray Chen and his wife, independent living with optional support services. My apartment has a small balcony overlooking the inner harbor. I watch the ferries come and go. I attend a Parkinson's support group every Thursday. I volunteer with the Victoria Elder Abuse Prevention Center, helping other seniors recognize the warning signs I missed for too long. Helen Okonkwo and I established a small fund through Parkinson's Canada, specifically for legal assistance for seniors facing fraudulent incapacity claims. We've helped 11 families so far. Each case reminds me how common this exploitation is, and how easily it succeeds when victims have no advocates. My health is relatively stable. The tremors are slightly worse than a year ago. My balance requires more attention. But Dr. Nguyen's latest assessment showed no cognitive decline. My mind remains sharp. I started writing again. Margaret always said I should write a memoir about my fraud investigation cases. I finally have time, and I've discovered that documenting my experiences helps other people recognize the patterns. Last month, I received a letter from Lisa. Dad, I've completed my probation and my counseling. I've divorced Derek. I'm working at a nonprofit that helps domestic abuse survivors. I think about you every day. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know that I'm trying to become someone you might be proud of someday. I love you. I'm sorry. Those aren't just words anymore. I understand now what I almost destroyed. Lisa. I read the letter 3 times. Then I put it in a drawer with Margaret's photos and the cards from our wedding anniversary. I haven't responded yet. I don't know if I will. Some people will say I'm too harsh, that parents should forgive their children, that Lisa was manipulated by Derek, that she's paid for her mistakes. But here's what I've learned. When someone targets you because of your vulnerability, when they see your illness as an opportunity rather than a tragedy, when they're willing to destroy your autonomy to solve their own problems, forgiveness without consequences isn't mercy. It's permission. Derek was sentenced to prison because elder abuse is a crime, not a family disagreement. Lisa faced legal consequences because conspiracy is a crime, not a momentary lapse in judgment. They made choices. Deliberate, calculated choices over months. They researched laws and planned strategies and discussed tampering with my medication. Those weren't mistakes. Those were decisions that revealed who they were willing to become. Maybe Lisa has changed. Maybe the counseling and the divorce and the nonprofit work have transformed her into someone trustworthy. Maybe someday I'll believe that. But today, I'm building a life that doesn't depend on family loyalty that proved to be an illusion. I have Ray and his wife, who invite me for dinner every Sunday. I have my support group, where people understand what it's like to fight for dignity while your body slowly betrays you. I have Helen, who checks on me monthly and has become a genuine friend. I have my volunteer work, which gives me purpose and connects me to people who need what I've learned. I even have someone special. Her name is Dorothy. She's 64, retired librarian, joined my Parkinson's support group 6 months ago. Her son tried something similar to what Lisa did, though Dorothy caught it earlier. We started having coffee after meetings, then dinners, then weekend drives along the coast. Dorothy understands why I had to prosecute my daughter. Family members who exploit illness aren't acting like family, she told me over dinner last week. They're acting like predators. Predators don't get unlimited chances. We're planning a trip to Tofino next month. Dorothy's never seen the rainforest. I want to show her the old-growth cedars, the wild Pacific beaches, the gray whales migrating north. Is it hard to travel with Parkinson's? She asked. Everything is harder with Parkinson's. But that doesn't mean you stop living. That's the lesson I wish Lisa had understood. Having a disease doesn't make you a burden. It doesn't make your money more valuable than your dignity. It doesn't give anyone permission to write you off as already gone. The Parkinson's will progress. Eventually, I'll need more care than I can arrange for myself. But I've planned for that. My legal affairs are managed by Helen. My medical decisions will be made by Dr. Nguyen. My finances are protected by structures that don't depend on family members with mortgage payments. I will not be warehoused in a cheap facility while someone pockets my pension. I will not lose my autonomy to people who see my illness as their opportunity. I will not spend my remaining years under the control of anyone who believes my time is worth less because it's limited. If you're watching this, and you're facing something similar, whether you're an aging parent worried about exploitation or an adult child wondering how to help responsibly, please remember this. Having a medical condition doesn't make you incompetent. Trembling hands don't mean a trembling mind. Needing help with daily tasks doesn't mean you need someone else to make your decisions. And family members who exploit vulnerability aren't protecting you. They're predators who happen to share your DNA. Protect yourself. Document everything. Build relationships with people who see your value, not just your bank account. And understand that loyalty is earned through behavior, not just blood. Subscribe if this story helped you. Leave a comment about where you're watching from. And if you know someone who might be facing exploitation, share this with them. Because dignity isn't something you lose with age. It's something you fight to keep, trembling hands and all.